Good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, so today I want us to go straight to Kubernetes. So we'll be starting with Kubernetes today. Let me share my screen. So before we continue with Kubernetes, please let me just ask, do we have any question from the previous class? We can just quickly clear that before we move. Any comments, any observation, any question? Do you have any? All right. In the absence of any question, so today we'll be going straight to Kubernetes. So now, if I want to ask now, or if I want to talk about Kubernetes, I know the question is what Kubernetes is all about. So if you are to ask the question what Kubernetes is all about, Kubernetes is just another tool in DevOps that is used for managing containerized applications. Okay, so in a typical work environment, let me say in a very large organization, there's something we call services. Okay, so when you're talking about service, under a single application, you can have different services. And when you're talking about services, you can talk about the registration service. Okay, let me use a banking app or a digital bank as an example. That's what I'm used to very well. So now, if you're talking about services now, you can have a module. It's just like you're defining a module, maybe a sign-up module. Okay, you can have it as a service. Then a registration process, you can have it as a service. Okay, maybe a password reset, you can have it as a service. All these things, you're just the credit, the process of crediting, you can have it as a service. The process of account verification, that's your KYC, you can have it as a service. So all these things, you have them as service. So coming together, you call them services, okay? All those services, they are what makes up an app. Now imagine you have different containers or different images for all those. How can you manage all these things? Okay, so now that's what Kubernetes is has actually come to help you do. It's used for managing containerized app. It actually makes the process of managing containerized app easier. Am I communicating? Hello, am I communicating?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
sure.
please
sure.
continue.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me new window. Okay. So now, when you're talking about Kubernetes let's quickly talk about what makes up. When you're talking about Kubernetes, let's quickly talk about what makes up a Kubernetes. Okay. So when you're talking about Kubernetes, the first thing you want to talk about is, okay, let's have, this is Kubernetes cluster. The first thing you have is your Kubernetes cluster. Okay. So under Kubernetes cluster, what makes up a Kubernetes cluster? Okay. The question is, what makes up a Kubernetes cluster? What really makes up a two? There are two important components, or two, should I put it now? Okay, what really makes up a Kubernetes cluster? What makes up a Kubernetes cluster is a set of machines, okay? A set of VMs, which are normally called worker nodes. You call them nodes for short, okay? So now, when you're talking about Kubernetes, you're talking about set of VMs, okay? You're talking about set of VMs. You know what VMs is, right? That's your machines, virtual machines, okay? So those VMs now, you're talking about, we have master nodes. So when you're talking about VMs now, there are two most important, okay, yeah, for you to have a Kubernetes cluster, you must have at least a master node and a worker node, because why do we have that? Kubernetes actually works as is a server client architecture. It works as a server client architecture. And when you're talking about server client architecture, you have your master and then you have your worker nodes. Okay, so when you're talking about Kubernetes, what makes up Kubernetes is master and worker nodes. Okay, worker node. I'm just trying to explain what Kubernetes actually is. So now you have a Kubernetes. Under Kubernetes, you must have at least 2 virtual machines, which is a master node and a worker node minimum. So now, not depending on your expected workload, minimum requirement is at least a master node and a worker node. Okay, so let's now assume the workload you're expecting is very large. You need to do many things. You might need more than 1 node, but the minimum requirement is at least 1 master node and one worker node. Without that, you cannot have a Kubernetes cluster. Okay, then when you're talking about scaling, you can now start having multiple master nodes. You can start having multiple worker nodes. But minimum requirement is at least master node and worker node. And what is master nodes? They are just a virtual machine. So master virtual machine and worker virtual machine. Master nodes are also called control plane. Okay, so it's just like your engine room. Okay, it's like your engine room. That's where you issue commands to all. That's where you control everything that is happening within your Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so now that we understand what Kubernetes is, so this is Kubernetes cluster. Then you have VMs. Then you have your master nodes. Then you can have one or more. Then from your master node, you control your worker nodes. Okay? So the group of worker nodes is what makes up the combination of master node and worker nodes is what makes up your Kubernetes cluster. Okay? So now, how do you set up a Kubernetes cluster? There are 2 ways you can have your Kubernetes cluster set up. The first one is using your cloud provider. So when you're talking about cloud provider, you're talking about, let's talk about AWS. In AWS, you have EKS. Let me log into my AWS. My AWS.amazon.com. So you can either have it on your AWS or you have self-installed. Okay, that's on-prem Kubernetes. Okay, so you can either have it on cloud, that is by your service provider, or you set it up by yourself. Okay, so now when you're having it on cloud, that actually means all the installations, all the components, everything you'll be needing has been configured and set up by your cloud service provider. Let me show you. I've not really tried it on AWS, so I'm not really sure if it's free, but I already have an alternative for us to use. So that's what we'll be using. I just want to use this for demo's sake. So trying to log into the cluster to my AWS. So when you are using cloud provider, it's as simple as just click, and then your cluster is up and running. I remember in my early days of trying to set up a Kubernetes cluster, man, I remember one particular time I used almost 1 week or 2 weeks just to set up this cluster. But after the first time, I just realized what the problem is and just replicate. So within 30 minutes, I can easily set up a cluster. So it can be that tedious. But when you're using a cloud provider, it's just by click. Under 2 minutes, you have your cluster up and running. But is it free? That's what I'm not sure. I didn't really do my research. Let me just see Kubernetes. So this is the Elastic Kubernetes service. Okay, so if you are using Google Cloud Platform to just put that in Kubernetes, you see GCP, that's Google Cloud Kubernetes, that's a GCP. What's GKE? Google Kubernetes Engine, that's what Google knows it as, Google Kubernetes Engine. Then I think Azure is AKS. Azure Kubernetes Service. Then Oracle, you have OKE, Oracle Kubernetes Engine. So now, Elastic Kubernetes Service, just click on it. I'm just trying to show us, though I will not be using this, but let me just see. See my region. It's my internet so slow tonight. Okay, so here's what we have. Let me see. So is it hard cluster? EKS, Worker Nodes, Fargate Ports. Okay, EC2 pricing. Okay, add cluster. That's create cluster. Let me click on create cluster. I'm not going to do that anyway. So now cluster name, DevOps, then Kubernetes version. Yeah, the latest they have is 1.23. I think there's 1.24. So cluster service row, can just leave that for now. So secret encryption, you can leave that. So go on, next. Cluster service row, no row found. Follow the link above to create a new row, okay? I think I need to create a new role here. Which link is it talking about? So select an IAM, Amazon EKS user guide. Okay, let me not just waste time on this since we'll not be using this. I didn't really work with this. So it can always be like that anyway, but all I know is it's just going to be a click, you know, for it to have it up and running. So open an IAM console, choose a role, then create a role under trusted AWS service from the use case of other AWS. Okay, for role name, enter unique for description. Okay, choose create role. Okay, so from the use case of AWS service. Okay, so now, it actually wants me to create an IAM role anyway. What is IAM role? IAM role is an identity access management. So it needs that identity access management to be able to manage the cluster. So let's just go ahead and just create it and see. That shouldn't cost me anything. It's a good one. IAM, identity access management. Just like when we were trying to log in, I can create different identity management, identity for, you know, anybody, you know, maybe a service account for anybody, so that I can just log in and do whatever you want to do on my AWS account. So that's what it's all about. So I can use it to manage multiple users. Let's take, for instance, now you have a very big company, and all your infrastructures are being run inside the AWS, okay? So you don't want to give everybody an access to the root management, like the root accounts, so anybody can just log in and just do anything, just like you have on your Facebook. Anybody can just log into your Facebook. No, you want to break down different roles, okay? Developers have access to this service, okay? DevOps have access to this service. That's what identity access management. You can just use it to manage different assets. So I don't have MFA yet. So I need to create an IAM. So how do I create an IAM? So IAM, then choose roles, then create roles. So here is roles. Then said I should create role. So let me go ahead and create role. All right, so let me see what type of role. Under trusted identity type, AWS service. Okay, I already have that. Then from the use case for the AWS service drop down, choose EKS. Okay. And we have EKS here. What are we talking about? Okay, so from the use case, okay. So from the use case, he said I should choose EKS. So yes, EKS. Okay, so allow Ekel to manage cluster on your behalf, allow access to AWS service resources that are required. In this, let me see. That's Elastic Kubernetes service, let me see. So in this case, choose EKS cluster for your use case, and then choose next EKS cluster. Okay, allow access to AWS service resources that are required to operate cluster managed by EKS. Okay, all right, EKS cluster. Okay, so next. So let me see what we have next. So on the add permission tab, choose next. On the add permission tab, choose next. Okay. Okay, on the add permission tab, choose next. On the add permission type, so Amazon EKS, okay. All right, add permission, okay. We already have the policy name here. So I think this is where the pre-configured policy. So you can always define this yourself too anyway, I believe. So these are the inbuilt policies that was set for us. So create role without permission boundaries, use a permission boundary to control. I actually don't want to go deep into this yet. So let's just click next. So what role name? Let's see what we have here. So the role name, enter a unique name for such as EKS role, okay. We'll just give for description, enter description cell, then choose create role, okay. So DevOps EKS, okay, description, just leave that. So add tag and create role. Okay, so I believe now, so already, okay, so here's the role. So I can attach the role to my cluster. Okay, so let's leave others. Description next. Okay, so networking, VPC. Let's use the default VPC. Let's use the default subnets. The security group, if you want to have security group. So now, we're talking about VPC. We're talking about VPC is a concept in networking. Okay, that's virtual private. What's it called? Is it virtual private cloud or what? VPC. So it's just a way of isolating anyway. Okay, so virtual private cloud. Okay, so it's just a way for isolating your cloud resources. Okay, so you can have different VPCs, and under each VPCs, you can also now have different subnets under individual VPCs. So it's just an isolation process, okay, for managing your resources. Okay, so where are we here? So that's what this is. So we are just using the default VPC. Then under that VPC, I believe when I was trying to create my EC2 instance, all these subnets were created for me. So it automatically append it, I believe. So I can just click any of them. Then security groups, I believe those ones that were actually created during the process during those times I was creating my EC2 instance. So then now this is another thing you should take note of. The cluster endpoint. Do you want to make it public? Do you want to make it private? But I'll just make it public. Okay. So the concept of private, when you're making private now, we have to deal with maybe some networking. You have to configure some networking, but then let's not really dive deep into that. In short, what we're just trying to do is I'm just trying to create a cluster by click. I don't know why all this process is this is my first time creating in EKS, but at least when I was creating it in GCP and Oracle, it's just one tab, just click, just select, and boom, your cluster is running. So I don't know what this EKS is just trying. This is my first time working on EKS, and I believe it's because of my experience, so I can easily set it up. So it's nothing. So version, the containerized version, Kubernetes version. Okay, just click next. Okay, then control plane, send audit diagnostic. What's this? So audit diagnostic authenticator, control manager, scheduler, log pattern to schedules, control plane login. Okay, this is for logging for audit, and depends on what you want to log. That's CloudWatch is another Kubernetes. I said Kubernetes. It's another AWS service. Okay, for what's CloudWatch? CloudWatch. CloudWatch is actually an AWS service. I think in monitoring, that's for monitoring activities. You know, you can use it to monitor your AWS resources. That's what CloudWatch is all about. You know, just like the name actually implies, watch. Okay, monitoring. Then now it's asking if I want to activate all of these things for CloudWatch logs. I'll just leave it as it is. Then cluster configuration. Yeah, so here's the cluster configuration. You have tags, networking, and control plane. Then here we are. I'm not ready to create right now because I'm not sure if it's free anyway. So I'll not be creating. That's just one way to really create. But in our own case now, we are going to be setting up Kubernetes by ourselves. We are going to be having on-prem Kubernetes. Okay, so when I'm talking about we are going to be setting up our Kubernetes ourselves. In that scenario now, if you want to set up Kubernetes ourselves, we have to have minimum of 2 machines. Okay, master nodes and virtual machine. I mean, virtual, that's for my master and for my worker nodes. Okay, but since you are not ready for that, there's this tool that we can use for managing Kubernetes. That's Minikube. You have Minikube. So with Minikube, you can easily set up. How should I say it now? Minikube is actually a lightweight version of Kubernetes. Okay, that you have both that can help you to have both the master nodes and worker nodes on a single machine. Okay, so we don't want to go through the stress of having to be deploying. It's a thing we can do. It's a thing we can do. There's a process for actually getting that, but how many people are really having that? You know, like how many companies are having their own data center that they want to set up a Kubernetes. Most of the time, when you want to have a Kubernetes, you're only using it for development's sake, which is what this Minikube has actually come to help you to solve. Okay, so for development's sake, or for test sake, we are going to be making use of Minikube. So with Minikube, you can easily set up Minikube on your instance. And I think you can also install Minikube on your Windows. You can use Kubernetes on your Windows as it is, I think. So I've used it before. You can also check it out. So now a tutorial that shows you how to run sample app in Kubernetes using Minikube. Okay, so you can use this. Before you begin, this tutorial provides containerized image that uses engineers to echo back all requests. So now I actually have a tutorial. I have a link that I kept somewhere here. Kept a link. So we have where is it? Tutorial points. Oh, actually have a link that okay, yeah, this. Okay, so I just stumbled on this. This should help you to be able to set up Kubernetes on your EC2 instance. Okay, so all you just have to do is you just run this set of scripts. You can just append this to your user data and run it through your creation. Let's just go update, upgrade, set host name as Minikube. Then you need to install all this. Then you install your Minikube repository. you download the Minikube repository and install the repository, and you install your kubectl. So let's just do this. Let's just do this to start. Now, what I've been able to do so far is I just try to break down what Kubernetes is. Okay, so let me just quickly recap. What is Kubernetes? With Kubernetes, Kubernetes actually runs a server client architecture, that is a scenario where you have your master machine and you have your node machine. So now, since we are not spinning up 2 instances, we don't want to go through stress. Majority of the company these days, when they have to do Kubernetes, all they have to do is, all they do now is they use the cloud provider to spin up a Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so let me not ignore that. We really can't say. Some of us might have a need to really set up an on-prem Kubernetes cluster. Let me just quickly give us a run through, or probably just share the script. You may not be able to treat it, or maybe I'll just share the scripts later. That is a way, let's say in a scenario where you have an on-prem server running, you set up your Kubernetes by running, by running a set of commands. I'll try to create the scripts. I don't know it offhand as well, because I told you the first time I went through stress. So after my first installation, all I just do is I just keep the script somewhere. So the script should be somewhere here. I'll look for it. That's if you want to set up on-prem. The last time I actually set up on-prem was, I think that should be 2020. That was the last time I set on-prem. Since then, I've not been using any on-prem or any on-prem Kubernetes service. Okay, so now let's just go ahead to spin up our EC2 instance and install Minikube to start our Kubernetes class. Please, do you understand what Kubernetes is yet? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, sure, we can hear you loud and clear.
So, so far so good. Do you have an understanding of what Kubernetes is? Like, do you have a broad view of what Kubernetes is? Or it looks like it is? I don't understand, please. I need response. Do you have an understanding yet?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think I do.
All right. So Kubernetes actually comprises of a master node and a worker node. Now, since you don't have two machines, to use one as our worker node and the other one as our master node, we only have one machine. That is where Minikube has actually come to help us. So instead of having 2 separate machines, we just want to use one machine. And one tool that will help us to be able to use one machine as our master node and worker node, is Minikube. As I explained, master node is like the engine room. That's where you control the activities. That's where you issue the commands, that you want to happen in your cluster. And the machine actually running the workloads, I mean your applications, your containers, your Kubernetes objects, is the worker node. So you just issue the commands from the master node into the worker node. Okay, so that's just an overview of that. So now let's follow the tutorial here. Let's follow this to set up our Minikube. So now this command is just to set host name. So I'll not be doing that. Let me just start from here. I think I've updated the machine already. So let's see. I'm going to share the link too, so you guys can just use it. Let me share the link. Okay, so that's the link. So now, okay, yeah. Let me install. What I want to do now is I want to install Minikube. So you do the same thing on your machine. So at least with the Minikube, you can easily practice with your Kubernetes very well. When we started this, I said, as much as you follow the instruction, you should not spend anything. You could easily spin up Kubernetes, but I think it's not free. So now what I plan for you to use is Minikube. At least you can practice everything you need to know on Kubernetes. And there are also some tools that you can use for practicing Kubernetes. There's one that I know. There's one that I actually know, Kataconda, but I tried to access Kataconda. They said it has been moved. Already bought it. So I remember when I started then, I used to use this Kataconda for practicing, but I think there are others too. I think I found another one today. Yeah, okay, from this, I got it from this. So with that, so you can also practice, play with Kubernetes. Okay, so I think this is it. I'm going to share the link. You can also follow, though I didn't really go through it very well, but I know it should be helpful. That's why I just kept the link. Okay, so let's continue. So okay, let me share my screen. Sorry, share screen. Now, probably maybe what I've said, is still a little bit abstract to a couple of people, but with this, to just try, you can play around. It costs you nothing, just play around. I think you just click on start. It's going to ask you for login, maybe to authenticate using your GitHub. You can just authenticate using GitHub, and it's going to spin up an instance for you. Yeah, I played with it. At least I was able to see it's trying to spin up the instance for me. So add instance to your playground. So click on add instance. There's tutorial for you here anyway. There's a full tutorial for you to be able to start working with Kubernetes here. Or I'll not be doing that. I believe it's good. It should be pretty straightforward. This was what I was trying to say. If you want to spin up, set up a Kubernetes on-prem. Okay. So you're going to use kubedm to init a Kubernetes cluster, then after that, it's going to give you some token. Then you're going to use kubedm to join every node. Like on your worker node, you're going to initialize a Kubernetes cluster from your master. Like let's assume you have master and worker nodes. So on your master node, you initialize a Kubernetes, using kubedm tool. Okay, so in that scenario, you need to install kubedm first. Then you are going to initialize. Okay, so once you initialize, it's going to generate a token. It's going to generate a token for you. I think after the end of this, it's going to give you a token. Okay, so once it gives you that token, then you just use this kubeadm join. You run those on every of the worker nodes. Like you can have multiple worker nodes. So you just use this kubeadm on different worker nodes that you want to join to that cluster. So it's like an architecture, like you have your master, then you have different, like a tree. You have different worker nodes. So every node, every worker node that you want to join to the cluster, okay, you just use kubeadm join. Then the Kubernetes IP and the pods, then the token that was generated. Then before you know it, you're going to see it there. Just run your Kubernetes nodes and then it's up and running. But in our case, we are using Minikube. So let's go ahead with Minikube. I already shared the link for setting up on-prem. For setting up, yeah, I think it's actually a very good one. This should be able to help you to set up Kubernetes on-prem with the help of 2 instances for free using this playground. We are not going to use that. That's not what I planned. So you can definitely use this playground. But we just want to set up Minikube. So let me deploy the Minikube. Which service should be started? I decided not to do this before the class. If I had known, I should have done it. But I just wanted it to be, at least I actually believe, believing, seeing is believing. So that's why I decided not to do all this, so that at least we can go through it. If I have any problem, we go through it together and all. So that's why I used to decide not to do most of these things before class. Sleeping time. Yeah, let me see. I can do other things side by side. Okay, I think this is not actually necessary anyway. This is to install Docker. We already have Docker running. So let me see. This is to install Docker. So now let's try to download the Minikube package. Okay, so if you do ls, you should see. So there's the downloaded package. Then the next one is to install. So let's install it into Bean. So now, if you remember, when we were trying to spin up instance, we mentioned this user data. I don't know if you remember user data. There's this field called user data. That's a field for running scripts. So you can just put this script inside your user data, and it's going to set up all these, you know, at the process of at the stage of starting the instance. Okay, so that's user data. So with user data, you can actually run a script during creation of an instance. So now, the next thing I want to do now is I want to install kubectl. So kubectl is a CLI tool for communicating with Kubernetes. So let's install kubectl. Crying out loud, what's happening? System so slow today. Then let me install contract. Yeah. Would not get log. Okay. I think it's because of this. So let me see. So we should have kubectl by now. What's happening? Kubectl. Okay, so we have kubectl running. So I think now we have it running. So we have kubectl running. Let's check our Minikube version. So this is Minikube we are using. So let's start. So if it was not running, if there was no kubectl, you know, it was supposed to return maybe command not or something. So let's see the Minikube version. Okay, and then here's the command to start the Minikube. All right, so we're running version 1.27. Let's see Minikube status. So now it may not really bother here. You know, what we are just trying to do now is we're just trying to set up Kubernetes. You know, this is called a single plane Kubernetes. That's Minikube. Okay, so your single plane single plane, which includes the control and the worker. Okay, worker nodes together. So this is Minikube. So it says I need to start my Minikube. So let me start my Minikube. So if you have the money anyway, you may not use Minikube. You can just spin up your Kubernetes cluster, and then if you have two machines, let's assume you have two machines too. You can also follow the process I highlighted earlier to set up an on-prem Kubernetes on two machines. So Minikube version on Ubuntu using the non-drive existing due to wasted CPU count, which is greater than the available CPUs. Here's a problem. Here's a problem that I have. Okay, so let's see what we can do. I think that's the problem right now. I may not be able to spin up his Minikube on EC2 instance. I may not be able to spin up because now it's expecting two CPUs. And if I should include two CPUs, that might not be free anymore. So I think I can install Minikube on my Windows. So let's see if we can get that done and just to practice Kubernetes. And if you're using Linux, you should not have this problem anyway. If you're using Linux machine, you should not have this problem. I think with Mac too, you should really not have this problem, because I was able to install. I use Kubernetes on my Mac, so you should not have this problem. But I think I've used it on Windows too. So let's see. Kubernetes, is it Minikube on Windows? Windows. Does Minikube work on Windows? Minikube is a single node Kubernetes so that can be stored on Mac. Okay, so set node Kubernetes Minikube on Windows. Okay, so let's follow this. Let's see. So this is from Kubernetes. I think I might prefer this because it's from Kubernetes itself. Layafa now. I did show me. Wow. No English version or what? Kubernetes.io. So what's happening here? It's telling me no English. Yeah, I think I have translator here. Let me use my translator. I have translator. Okay, so this is for Mac OS, this is for Linux. So it's pretty straightforward for Linux. So let's see. Oh, I don't want to go through this process. It's telling me I have to install Choco. I tried not to install Choco. Manual installation to manually install Minikube on Windows. Download the file. Okay. Yeah, I think this is it. Said I can download this file. Manual installation using Windows installer. Download the file, Minikube exam and run the installer. Okay, so let me just do this. What's happening here? Okay, so this is Minikube for Windows. So let me try to download and see. BNB. This will take another. It will take some time. So let's just see what we can just do tonight. So we may not be able to really go deep because it really take me more time to even try to install this. So at least we have some understanding of what Kubernetes is, have a picture of what Kubernetes is. Then this is what I was trying to explain earlier. I actually have this diagram, this architectural diagram to really explain the concept. So now what you're seeing here is what you're seeing here now is the Kubernetes cluster. You have your Kubernetes cluster. So you have your master. This is the master. Okay. And then this is what I've been referring to as worker. So this is a VM. This box is representing a node. It's representing a VM called the master node. So this is the master node now issuing command to other nodes. You see node 1, node 2, node 3. Inside node 1, you have pods. So pods is like the smallest unit of a Kubernetes, okay? Kubernetes, to manage Kubernetes, there are some objects. The smallest object there is pods, okay? So here is just trying to demonstrate like, okay, you have 2 pods running inside each node. We are going to understand the concept of pod as we go deeper. So inside this master, the moment you actually set up a master node, you are going to have we are going to have this component running. This is Kubernetes symbol. So we're going to have all these components actually running. All these components, they have what they are doing. Now, look at this from outside here. This is kubectl. This is your own tool. This is your own weapon that you'll be working with. This is what you are going to be using to issue commands. That's why you have commands here. So it's with the kubectl, that's why you're going to be issuing commands to the master. Then the master will receive the commands through the API server, going to issue the commands, what you want done to the worker nodes. So let me quickly explain this architectural diagram as a full now. So just like we installed kubectl, I told you kubectl CLI is a tool, is a CLI tool for interacting with Kubernetes cluster. So once you issue these commands, it's going to interact with the API server. The API server is the exposed API. What is API? API is application programming interface, I believe. Yeah, API, that's the programming interface of Kubernetes. Now, it's going to communicate to, once you issue your Kubernetes, your kubectl command is going to communicate with the API server. Okay, so the API is just like is the exposed endpoint, like a window to trigger or to interact with an application. Okay, so now the API will now determine what do you want to happen. You have your controller. The controller is what actually controls the resources inside, controls the object, the resources inside the Kubernetes. That's for controlling the state, what is really happening, how is it handling the ports. That's what this controller is. Who have access, what is the mode of communication. That's what this controller is all about. And this scheduler is another component for managing which nodes is taking which for distributing. Let's assume you have a gift, you are sharing the gift. Okay, this belongs to node A, this belongs to node B. This is what we want to do. That's what this scheduler is. It's actually used for managing the resources. That's the Kubernetes objects inside the Kubernetes cluster. So that's why you have it here. Look at this arrow. This arrow is going from the scheduler. It's the scheduler that is actually communicating with the nodes, distributing the resources, all the workloads across all the worker nodes. So you see, this is the scheduler communicating to node 1, scheduler communicating to node 2, scheduler communicating to node 3. So all these brought together is what makes up a Kubernetes. Okay, so this is just for you to have a proper understanding of what Kubernetes is, but majorly now, you should be working with only the master and worker nodes. That's what we'll be working in. So now when you want to go deeper into Kubernetes, you can start exploring all these one by one. But for now, we are just going to be working with the master nodes, the worker nodes, and issuing the CLI command. So yeah, it's downloaded. So let's open. Okay. All right, so I think now that we have this, I have to run the CMD command. Let me see, where do we even get the tutorial from? Once you install, I have to
please. I'm not seeing yours. No.
I think that should be your network. That should be your internet.
Can't see your screen. Am I the only one?
I can see his screen.
I can see your screen.
Okay. Thank you. So, what's the tutorial we're even working with earlier? Chocolate. Okay, so we create Kubernetes using Minikube. This Minikube starts. I'm trying to start. I think the way for starting on Windows should be different. So I'm just trying to get now. Let me just use this anyway. Driver VirtualBox. So I don't know. Do I really need VirtualBox? I don't really want to use any driver. I don't really want to use VirtualBox. That's why I'm trying to avoid that. So once you have chocolate, which tutorial was I using earlier? Tutorial was I using earlier? Was it this? Okay. Windows. I'll stay this page. So Minikube starts. Machine does not exist. Translate for me now. So Minikube starts. It's not translating. All right, let me just try to start minikube.exe. Then starts. Then it's here I have. But do I have to install? Is it like I have to install it? This is a command line too. You need to open CMD. Yeah, that's what I did. Okay, so I think I have to rename anyway. Let me just try to rename. Rename. Exiting, no possible driver was detected. So I actually have to have a driver. Really sorry about this. I think I was going for this issue. So definitely it's actually good because these are some of the things that you yourself you have to be figuring out when you start working. There's no readily available solution. There are a lot of things that you have to try to figure out. It's been a while I actually worked with this, so I don't really have it offhand. But normally it's actually good because this is just a think through thing. So you just have to keep thinking to solve the problem, which is what I'm doing now. Add Minikube binary to your paths. Okay. I'll not be bothering myself with that. Start from terminal with but not logged in as user. Yeah. I think I really need to install a VirtualBox. So let me try. Okay, now container or virtual machine such as what you need. It has even stated it. All you need is a Docker, a virtual machine. What you need to call PCA, 2 gig, 20 gig parameter connection installation. So now I'll try to install. Yeah, I should be able to use Docker, but I can't remember how I used Docker the last time. Do I have Docker installed? I don't think I have Docker installed. All right. So which one can I use? Let me use VirtualBox. I'll try to download. Let me try to download VirtualBox. So I can start with VirtualBox for, I need to download VirtualBox first. So now it's why are we needing VirtualBox? VirtualBox is actually a virtualization mechanism, just a tool for virtualizing. So thank you so much. I will need to drop off the call now. Okay. All right, Mira. See, I'm trying to download VirtualBox here. VirtualBox. Oh, another 105 MB. So you might actually need to go through this process to definitely when if you're using Windows. And actually, I remember when we were talking about the class, we said we are going to be using Windows anyway. So if you're using Windows, yeah, it's good for you. We are going through this process. But trust me, when you're working with Linux, you're not going to have these issues. That's why it's always advisable for you to just use Linux OS when you're doing things like this. And that's why a lot of people prefer Linux when they are doing software engineering, because there are a lot of solutions that you don't really have to worry just out of the box. So yeah, having all these issues because you are running on Windows anyway. Let me tell you this. When I started working with my company, even my company in Saudi Arabia, I was using Windows. Not even in Saudi Arabia. When I started DevOps, even at Linux job then, I had my efficiency really decreased drastically. The moment I switched my OS to Linux, I can tell you how efficient I became. Why? Because a lot of things I just have to run a single command. You have to figure out how to do it on Windows. I have to be honest with you. I remember working with Pelumi back then. I will run a particular command just on my system is not going to work, and then Pelumi will just run it, and everything is up and running now. It will just be as if you don't even know what you're doing. That's because you're running Windows. So if you really want to help yourself, it's always good. Just forget about virtualizing, forget about you having VirtualBox and on your machine. If you really want to go into DevOps, challenge yourself, just go for Linux. I'm telling you, it's going to help you a lot. Because now when we start talking about Ingress when we start working with Ingress, route, you are doing DNS solutions, a lot of things, you are going to have this problem. Because the way you do it on Windows is always different, which is what is really affecting us right now because we are working with Windows. I don't even know how we can better manage this. But let's just get this Minikube up and running.
So please, I have a question.
Okay.
You are talking about us, like we now that we're using this thing, Microsoft. So can we have a dual, like have Linux and also Microsoft on one system? Is it possible?
Yeah, you can have a dual boot anyway.
Or we should just convert the system entirely to a
the
Linux.
Choice is yours. You can choose to dual boot. I believe you should not have any issues dual booting too. But then you dual booting, I don't know if you can handle it. Just try to do dual booting. Dual booting is okay, it's fine. You can do dual booting, very good. But just try to avoid virtualization. Just try to avoid virtualization. So this is the VirtualBox. I actually knew. I knew, like, I had this issue back then when I was trying to set up EC2 instance on Minikube on my EC2 instance. I knew I was going to have issues with this virtualization. But once I just saw it once I just saw the tutorial, I believe, oh, probably maybe it's already fixed and all. That's why I didn't even bother to even try it. Okay, so now we have this. Let's now that we have it, so let's start. Let's start our Minikube with VirtualBox as driver. Let's see what we have. So now, you know, I'm no longer using EC2 instance. I'm using my Windows. Now it's doing a couple of downloads. A couple of downloads here. This is just for the first time, I believe. This is actually for the first time, I believe. Come on. So we'll not be able to really do much today anyway. So let's just use this period to set up our environment. And so maybe from next class you can start talking more about Kubernetes.
Welcome, sir.
Bolu Alpha now.
Oh, sorry, I never knew I was on mute. Been talking to myself since. So, sorry. So what we're trying to do right now is we are just trying to spin up a Kubernetes. Now, just like I said, I'm just trying to stimulate a working environment. Now, when you're talking about Kubernetes, if you're working for a company, you know you don't have to worry. You'll not be the one to really pay for Kubernetes service. You'll not be the one to really pay, and you're the one that will make a request. Okay, a company wants to employ you as a DevOps engineer. I believe the question they will ask you is, okay, you want to set up a server. They cannot tell you, okay, set up a server, you know, use the Windows and set up Kubernetes on Windows. You have to tell them, no, you have to use Linux. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Or if a company employee come and set up an environment and they said they want to run on Kubernetes, oh, okay, how do you want it? Okay, do you want to run on-prem, or do you want to run it on cloud? Do you want to use cloud service provider? That's maybe OKE or EKS or GKE. You know, you have to tell them. And if they said no, they don't want to use any of this, okay, they want to spin up a tube, they want to spin up an instance, or they have data center and they want to install, they want to have their on-prem Kubernetes. Then, you might have to go through this process that I shared with you. You have to go through this process. So let's just continue. There's nothing serious in today's class. So all we are just trying to do is we are just trying to set up our environment. So let's just get it set up. Yeah, I was trying to explain earlier, like if we are working for a company, definitely it's the company that is going to take responsibilities for all these things. Now we are going through all these problems because we are trying to avoid pain. Now it's just easy by I almost completed creation of Kubernetes here. Right?
Yeah.
I almost, let me share my screen. So we were here together when I almost completed the creation of Kubernetes. It's only left for me to click create and then my Kubernetes cluster will be up and running. But I choose not to do that. Now, if at all you are using your company's account that you have an IAM role you are managing, definitely they will be the one to pay for all these things. Okay, but it's good you know how to do all these things. So that's just one way. Now, since we have to learn Kubernetes and we don't want to pay, that's why we are going through this stress of using Minikube. But no company will be using Minikube for production. No company will be using this. This is just only for purpose of classes like this or for development's sake. Probably are just trying to test run one or two things. And besides, we also share the link. This is another instance here. So we can do a lot of things, just like we have on our Linux command. You can cpwd, you can ls and see what you have. This is just like your terminal. Let me see if you can install. Do you have apps? You don't have apps. You have Yum. Okay, you have Yum. So we can install packages. Yum install Nginx. Install Nginx. So you can play around. I'm trying to install Nginx here. So that's even if, let's assume you don't even want to work with EC2 instance, there's already a service for you here. Okay, so this is an IP. Which IP is this? I think this is actually a private IP anyway. So let me see. System CTL start. System CTL start Nginx. Okay, system CTL not found. Service not found. So how do I start? How do I even start yourself? It said Nginx system. Okay, Nginx not found. Sorry. I did Yum install Nginx. I think it couldn't find Yum install Nginx. Said signed could not verified for Kubernetes. Okay. Sign signature could not be verified for trying other mirror. One of the configured repository field Kubernetes. Run contact the upstream. We configure. Okay. Is this for Kubernetes? I think this is just Kubernetes playground. CTL. Okay, yeah. So this is, I think it's basically for Kubernetes playground anyway. So you can set up Kubernetes by just following this tutorial too. But then let me just go through my process. Still downloading, it's taking time. I hope this thing I will finish my internet. So now while we wait for that, let's just play around with this and see. Let's play around with it together. So now we've started. So this lab is awesome that's already installed many of the software. Okay, in the node 1 master node, we run the following command. Okay, so let's run this command. Just as they said, let's run the command. We actually want to set up Kubernetes anyway. That's what we want to do here. And I paste. Allow me to paste. How do I paste now? How do I paste? How do I paste, man? This is not allowing me to paste, okay? So if it does not allow me to paste, it's like, then I have to run all this. I have to run all this command, kubedm init. It's going to take infinity. Okay, instead of just waiting, let's just do it anyway. It's going to take infinity. Kubedm init API server API advertise address. Muslim. Network slide, yeah. You see the problem we are going through. That's what cloud has actually come to help you solve. You don't have to worry about all these things. All you just have to do is click. Sweet, soup with sweet, harmonic cleaner, 0096. Oh, API advertise address. API server advertise address. Old network. Let me check what I was typing. API server with network network. Okay, so it's running. I remember when I started all this period, I used to pray. Oh God, I suffer on this Kubernetes anyway. Just to pray. It used to be like a game of luck then. I have to be honest. Because what you don't know, you don't know. So at the end of the output, make sure you copy the following commands, especially the kubedm commands. Okay, this will be used to join the worker node. To start using your cluster, you need to run the following as regular user. Then I think I have to start another instance again. Waiting for Kubernetes, so let me add new instance and see. All right, so I have another instance here now. So now I have two instances. So now, once you run that command, that kubedm, this is the command you'll be needing to run on the worker node. Now take note, this is the master node. Node 1 is what we are using as the master node, and we are using node 2 as the worker node. Then to add the worker node, you have to copy this command. So, but this one that is not even allowing me to paste, I need to figure out how to paste it. I can't even copy. Come on, I can't go through this. But why? How would I have a solution like this? And it's almost like useless for me. You said details, toggle terminal. Hot enter. Decrease font size. Decrease font size. So you need copy and paste. Copy and paste by. I'm trying to paste, but I can't even paste here. That's the problem I'm having. So now, since we already have this, let's assume I can paste. I just copy this and just paste it. So I can't start typing this one by one. I can't. So this solution is almost. The terminal experience is the same with last day we talked about. You can copy and paste with Ctrl+Shift+C. Ctrl+Shift, okay. Ctrl+Shift+E. Oh, what you don't know, you don't know. Use Shift insert. It's Ctrl+Shift. Oh, let me try Shift insert. That will work. Shift insert. Oh, Shift insert work. Come on, yeah, valid. So, oh, so now we already have that. So we already have the. Oh, I didn't copy. Shit. Copy the init token. So let me copy from here. Okay, so oops. Control Shift copy. Control Shift C. This is to your law. See, let me be honest with you. This problem I'm having, it's the same problem I was having when I was working on Windows when I was working. And that's why I told you, like, it actually affected my efficiency because I was working on Windows. You see all this problem I was solving. Why do I have to go through this process? I have to go through this process because I'm working on Windows. Control insert to copy. Okay. So I'm actually going through all this process because I'm using Windows. And that's why I said, just do yourself a favor. Do yourself a favor, get yourself a Linux. You don't have to worry about all this. Control insert. Okay, here we have this. So now it says for us to join now, we have to run this 3 command. This is make dir. We have to make this directory, then copy the content. So it's going to copy the this is to copy the content. So now after installing the Kubernetes, I think it automatically creates this directory. Let's see on our worker node. That's ls etc Kubernetes. Let's see on the worker node. ls etc Kubernetes. Okay, so it's empty. Okay, but then, so what is the essence of this if it's empty? Copy interactively. Okay, so it's not even necessary then okay, I think it's just these 2 commands that is most important then. So we have to create this directory cube inside this home, inside the home, that's inside our worker node. So Control Shift insert. Okay. It's the instruction that, mind you, this is actually the instruction that you get. This is actually the instruction you get the moment you actually run the init, this init that I ran here. So it gives you this instruction for you to join your worker nodes. Shift E. Shift insert. CD not found. Light you want to do. Okay, no such file. Okay, cool. All right. So now let's go to the last step. Shift insert. Sudo not found. Doesn't allow us to run sudo. We are going through this process because no such file. Oh, we created this file already. And not the reference to such file directory. ls ls lat. Okay, so created. So then what do you have inside the cube? Cannot access that even search file or directory. Why? This is the file. Come on. Okay, let's just go with the tutorial and see. Maybe it has automatically created it. I don't know. But if you are the root user, you can run export kube config. So no, you're not going to use this. Let me just try to run the kube admin join and see. Or before I do that, let me do kube get nodes on the master node. So kubectl, let me just show you kubectl get nodes. If you do, this is the command for seeing all the nodes. Look at it, it says master. You see what I was saying? This is the master, but it's still claiming the master is not ready. Let's try to join our worker node now. Once we add the worker node, we should have two nodes here. This is node 1. So I'm trying to join the node, the second node. Let's try to add the second node. I've copied this, so let me try to run this and see. Shift, start. Moment of truth. This is the moment of truth. All right, I think it worked. You see, this node has joined to the cluster, okay? So let me do kubectl get nodes. Get nodes. All right, so you see, before it was only 1, now you see, we have 2. If I have another node, so it's still going to add it. That's how it's going to keep on adding. But why am I having not ready? I actually don't know. It's telling me not ready. So now you actually know what I did. What I did so far was just follow the instruction. I think the only thing that mattered here is run this command. Once you go to the labs.play, play with Kubernetes, run this command on the first server. After the add new instance, is going to create a server for you. So just run this first command. Then after that, it's going to generate the token, the joining token, just like this. So copy the joining token and then run it on your second instance, which is what we did here. This is what we did here. So where is it? Which is what we did here. But I think before you run that, maybe you might need to follow the instruction. These are the instructions that you have. It says run this, that's make this kube. This is the Kubernetes config directory, okay? So it says you are going to manually run this. Then just run these 3 lines. Run these 3 lines. Then after you're done running the 3 lines, then you can run this. That's on your worker node to join it to the cluster, which is what we did. And now we have the node running. Let me see if it's ready again. Not yet ready. Maybe it will take some time. I actually don't know, but let me see kubectl get namespace. Let me see kubectl get ns. All right, yeah. I think I can start to use it now anyway. So, but then we may not be able to use it today anyway. So probably this one we can just use henceforth, just for our classes. We're just going to use this. So you may not even bother about your sitting instance or other installing. So you can just use something like this to understand Kubernetes. Then from next class, let's continue from next class. Really sorry for taking our time today anyway, but definitely, these are some of the inevitable problems you'll be experiencing. Experience is the best teacher. When I was learning, I didn't have anybody to really help me with this. I have to start figuring out this most of the time myself. But it's good, like I'm really sharing my experience right now. You have these issues. If you are working with Windows, try to update to Linux environment because you always have these issues. And then If you're working for a company, you may not really have to worry about all this. You have your Kubernetes, just by click, just like we have here. We have our Kubernetes set up, but then that's on AWS just for us to run this button and boom, our Kubernetes cluster will be up and running. But we will not be able to do that because it's going to cost us money. So let's not do that. So now we have two options now. You see that we install Minikube, which is what I was installing, which is still installing. I don't know if the thing has stalled. Might have to start all over again. But anyway, we already have, okay, yeah, I think it's already starting here. Or is it just restarting? Yeah, it's already starting here. So, no, this is restarting. You see that we use Minikube on our Windows, so you just get a tutorial or follow the steps that we followed so far, or we are going to use this labs play. I think this is what we are going to be using for our next class. Okay, so before we call it today, please, do you have any question?
Question, Yakpa, but let's just go through it, sir.
Go through what?
I said, I have plenty of questions, but I have to go through all the class because I didn't start from beginning.
All right, no problem.
Yeah.
We didn't really do much anyway. What we just basically do is, okay, I just explained the concept of Kubernetes. I explained the concept of Kubernetes, and we were trying to set up an environment. So that was what we did. Oh, yeah, it's fine. I'll try to upload the video, so probably we can just cover. Though I actually feel we didn't really do much today anyway, but then, just like I'm telling you, experience is the best teacher. If you don't face the issue now, it's good you are facing this issue together, so that it will not be only that you are facing this issue. Next time when you see these issues, when you are trying to practice, it will not be new to you.
Yeah, definitely. This what makes someone a great is it developer or DevOps engineer? If you are able to solve issues.
Yeah, you have to. So
thank you very much for today.
You're welcome. Any other question, please? All right, in the absence of questions, so please let's have our next class on Thursday. So we'll go deeper into Kubernetes and we start working with Kubernetes. Okay. All right. Everyone, please have a good time. Enjoy. I'll try to upload this video either tomorrow or Tuesday. And I'll alert you once I get it done. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye for now.
Yeah, good night, sir. Thank you, sir.